Lavrov and Badie stress that the solution to the crisis in Syria is only political and all states must support it. Several popular marches are staged in Qudsiya and Najha in Damascus countryside and in Tartus in support of the Syrian Arab Army in its confrontation of terrorism. The Syrian Arab Army units continue to perform their tasks in combating terrorism and eliminating a large number of armed men in several governorates. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Irado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. In a joint press conference with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, Iraqi Foreign Minister Hoshyar Zebari said the talks covered the developments of the crisis in Syria and the results of the recent Geneva II meetings. Zebari said the required role of the big powers and the countries neighboring Syria is to double efforts in order to put an end to the humanitarian tragedy in the country. On his part, Lavrov stressed that Russia and Iraq have agreed that a political solution is the only way out of the crisis in Syria and it must be supported by all countries. Lavrov referred to the need to stand on Iraq's side in the face of the widespread terrorism in the region. He said the ongoing flow of arms into Syria without any international effort to stop it would only aggravate the humanitarian situation in the country. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov started a work visit to Iraq. Lavrov is scheduled to hold talks with Iraqi Premier Nouri al-Maliki on cooperation between Iraq and Russia and the situation in Syria. Russia Today website quoted the Russian Foreign Ministry as saying in a statement. The statement added that Lavrov's meeting in Baghdad will concentrate on activating cooperation between Russia and Iraq in the political, trade, economic, humanitarian and other domains. It stressed that Lavrov will exchange views with the Iraqi officials on the most important international and regional issues, including the situation in Syria. Thousands of Qudsiya inhabitants in Damascus countryside have staged a march in support of the Syrian Arab Army against the terrorist groups and in support of the national principles. In support of the Syrian national principles and the Syrian Arab Army in its confrontation of the terrorist groups, the people of Najha took to the streets, expressing their absolute support for their homeland and their full keenness on safeguarding its social and national fabric and consolidating national unity among all its citizens, voicing solidarity with the achievements of the Syrian Arab Army. A mass rally was organized along Tartus coastal beach in support of national principles and the Syrian Arab Army. The participants carried flags and placards which stressed loyalty for the homeland, voicing complete rejection of any foreign interference in Syria's internal affairs. As part of the agreement between Homs Governorate and the UN, 14 civilians have been evacuated from Bustan al-Diwan and Al-Hamidiyya neighborhoods, the majority of whom were women and children, despite the attempts by the armed men to obstruct the process through detonating a number of explosive devices. Meanwhile, Al-War inhabitants have started to receive the distributed material and the relief assistance. A A child died and another was injured when terrorists fired a mortar shell on the residential An-Nil Street in Aleppo city. A source at Aleppo Police Command said that the mortar fired by terrorists on Wednesday fell down near Al-Ghufran Mosque in An-Nil Street, claiming the life of a girl and injuring a boy. A Syrian Arab army unit confronted an armed terrorist group that attempted to infiltrate from Jordan to the Syrian territories, killing all its members. A source said that many terrorists were killed near Zamrin Samlin, adding that the body of Mohammad Badie was identified among the killed terrorists. A Syrian Arab army unit also eliminated an armed terrorist group and destroyed its members' weapons on Jbata al-Khashab road in Al-Qunaytira countryside. In Deir ez-Zor, our Syrian Arab armed forces clashed with terrorists in Al-Rashidiyya, Al-Hwayqa and Al-Mra'iyya, killing and wounding dozens of them. In Hama, our Syrian Arab armed forces destroyed a den for terrorists in the village of Kfarzita, killing and wounding all gunmen inside, including one Saudi and another Libyan. In Homs, our Syrian Arab armed forces killed a number of terrorists in Al-Qusur and Saqiyat al-Rai in the ancient city and destroyed a number of their dens near the sport hall in Talbise. The Syrian Arab army also destroyed a vehicle equipped with a heavy machine gun in At-Tiba village near Al-Hula, killing and wounding a number of them. The Syrian Arab army also eliminated a terrorist group near water station in Al-Musharfe, killing and wounding dozens. Welcome back. In occupied Palestine, Israeli occupation authorities transferred at dawn today 5 injured terrorist members of the armed groups in Syria to Zaif and Nahariya hospitals in Safad and Upper Galilee in the Palestinian lands occupied since 1948, where they would receive medical treatment and then return to Syria. The Israeli Ma'arif Daily said the Israeli army moved 2 Syrian wounded persons to Zaif hospital in Safad. One of them had shrapnel all over his body, whereas the other had fractures in his feet. 3 other persons were also moved to Nahariya Hospital in Upper Galilee. One of them was seriously wounded, while the other 2 sustained medium injuries. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, accompanied by political and military officials, had visited last Tuesday the field hospital set up by the Israeli occupation authorities in the occupied Syrian Golan in order to receive the wounded terrorist mercenaries who are fighting in Syria. He shook hands with them and was reassured about their health, in a clear sign to the unlimited support offered by the Zionist entity to the armed terrorist groups in Syria and the close ties between the 2 sides. One day after the 2 terrorist explosions in Bir Hassan in the southern suburbs of Beirut, the official at the Lebanese Democratic Party, Abdulrahman Diab, was assassinated in the city of Tripoli, north of Lebanon. Al-Manar channel said there has been information that the movements of the assassinated official had been closely watched and pursued, and the operation was executed by young men on a motorcycle. After the crime, the security forces disconnected the cameras on the scene to disclose the criminals. On its part, the Lebanese National Information Agency said an unidentified person on a motorcycle opened fire this morning at Abdulrahman Yusuf Diab in Mahallat al-Mina in Abu Ali Square, causing his immediate death. The agency added that shooting was heard between At-Tabbani and Jabal Muhsin following Diab's assassination, after which the army blocked Tripoli-Akkar highway. Also after the assassination, a person was reportedly killed and others were injured in shootings in Tripoli. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Karun Kürkcan, but after a short break. Only political, and all states must support it. Several popular marches are staged in Qudsiya and Najha in Damascus countryside and in Tartus in support of the Syrian Arab army in its confrontation of terrorism. Conference with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, Iraqi Foreign Minister Hoshyar Zebari said the talks covered the developments of the crisis in Syria and the results of the recent Geneva II meetings. Zebari said the required role of the big powers and the countries neighboring Syria is to double efforts in order to put an end to the The Syrian Arab army units continue to perform their tasks in combating terrorism and eliminating a large number of armed men in several governorates. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Irado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. In joint press Lavrov and Zebari stress that the solution to the crisis in Syria is